Jenny, and welcome back to Entrepreneurcast. So great to see you back on the show with us today.
Hello, hello. Good to be back. I love doing these. I love sharing these.
So, Jenny, today we're going to talk about the fear of being visible. And there are so many people who really try to avoid being seen, in any way, and they don't want to be there. They don't want to speak up. They don't want to do the videos. So let's go to what's behind of that fear and what's all this fear of visibility is about.
Well, there are a couple of people or types that I come across in this visibility journey. And by the way, I'm nicknamed the Queen of Being Seen, and I'm quite loud, and I say to my community, I always flap my gums, I speak a lot. But you know what? The biggest misconception around visibility is that you have to be extroverted. I know some very successful introverts who are very, very highly visible. In fact, there are some very famous introverts who were highly visible. Barack Obama is a famous one. Bill Gates was a famous introvert, as well as many other people that we see in the public eye. So just to dispel that myth right there, visibility doesn't work for you if you're an extrovert and not if you're an introvert. If you're an introvert, you need a lot of you time. You prefer to be just with yourself, maybe journaling. You need to recharge or refuel your batteries in that way. Whereas as an extrovert, we would still need to do that, but we don't need as much time. I could go to a 3-day event, and as long as I get an hour at the end of every day to be by myself, I'm like, okay, I've regrouped. Where are the people? Show me the people. So that's the first myth that I want to bust. So whether you're an introvert or whether you're an extrovert, this next piece affects so many people that I've worked with, spoken to, had conversations with, seen in my peers, and it leaves clues. And this is the fear of being visible. Now, this comes in many different guises. There's the absolute obvious piece where people will say, no, I just don't want to get out there. I don't want to do anything, kind of like an obvious fear. There'll be the fear where people are out there, and this is one that I hit a lot. So they'll go out, and I get this with speakers. They'll say, I'm happy speaking from a stage, but point that video camera at me. No. And if you think of like ideal client words, when people don't want to do video, the thing I hear the most is no, literally. And then there are people that are out there, they're quite comfortable with their visibility, but they're quite comfortable with the level of visibility they have. Maybe it's time to supersize their business. Maybe they've got all of their ducks in a row and they want to reach more people. Maybe they've decided that they want to get out there and tell people what they really do. This is another thing that I see a lot. So there are a lot of people I know who are business coaches, for example, but they really want to teach spirituality or tantra or something that's considered very, very different. So there'll be a part of them that are happy to be visible at one level, but they know they need to go to a next level. So if you've identified yourselves in any areas, I'm not going to talk about the psychology of it all. I'm going to talk to you about a really simple exercise that's going to help you kind of rise above that fear. It's almost, I would call it the exercise that helps you to forget the fear. So here's the one thing that I know for sure, like literally having worked with thousands of people now, whether it's presentations or anything else, and this fear that comes up. The only way that you can be fearful of doing something, anything, including visibility, is by years of practice. Now, by the time we're aged about 7, we would have learned how to be scared of certain things, how to be fearful. In fact, it's cited that the only fears that we're born with as babies are the fear of being dropped and the fear of loud noises. Everything else we learn. We learn from the people around us, whether it's parents, whether it's, relatives, the people we spend the most time with. So one of the things that can happen is maybe you go to school and the teacher tells you to stand up and read in front of the class and the kids laugh at you. You could be like over 7 by this stage when that happens, but you somewhere in your psyche will store that moment, store that memory as a big tick box to whenever I have to stand up in front of people, they will laugh at me. I don't want to do it. I mean, who would? And it's not even done on a conscious level. And you go through life, you go to your interview and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got a panel interview of like 5 people in front of me. and I'm really scared and I don't know why. You think it's because it's a new experience, but it's because you taught yourself back in the day that standing up, standing out, people looking at you will make a difference. And it goes on like this. And if you think about it, it becomes a very easy to replicate behavior. Not because it's in our brains and we think about it, but it's in our subconscious mind. It's like the piece of the iceberg that's under the water. We've now become really great at telling ourselves, I can't possibly stand out, it's too scary. And to boot, we've got all of these lifetime of experiences to validate the fact that that's true. And you might speak to your friends in the pub or family and they'll say, oh my gosh, public speaking, no, I wouldn't ever do that, that's madness. And they will cement that it's a good idea. So how do you slice through this? How do you forget to feel the fear? There's a really simple exercise. And if you're listening to this podcast legally and you're driving, you might not be able to do this exercise. But I want you to imagine that you're holding a torchlight, okay? So I want you to imagine that you're holding a torchlight, and I want you to put the beam of the torchlight on full beam. Now, and I'm literally, for those of you that can see this, I'm literally holding this invisible torch. For those of you that can't see it, just imagine that I am. Do the same thing. Now, when you have to go and do a video and you're feeling uncomfortable, you maybe have to stand on a stage or stand up in a room or do your 60-second pitch or anything else like that, and you start to feel scared. The reason that you're able to feel scared or to feel any form of fear is because you are running whatever patterns, whatever programs you've got used to doing. You're so practiced at it, you do it in seconds. What's actually happening, in that torch that you're holding in your hand with the bright beam, imagine that you're now shining it towards your stomach, okay? You're shining it towards your stomach. What you're actually doing is saying, me. This is me. I'm focusing on me. I'm focusing on how to be scared, because 20 odd years ago when I stood up in class, everyone laughed at me. And what you're now doing is internalizing that fear. So anytime you feel fearful, it's like you've got this torch on its brightest beam, but you're shining it towards yourself. Now, how do you forget about the fear? Next time you have to stand up and give a talk, give your 60-second pitch, go onto video, do a Facebook Live, go to a networking meeting, write a blog, so no one theoretically can see you doing the writing, and you get that fear as you go to push send on your blog. I want you to take that torchlight, shining brightly on your stomach, and I really want you to just take a deep breath, pause, stop for a minute, and just look at the brightness of the torch, and very slowly turn it around. So first of all, it'll be in your face, maybe in your eyes, up on the ceiling, and then you're turning it around so you're shining it out to the audience. That light that you're shining is your blog content. That light that you're shining is a spoken word that you want to motivate or inspire people with. That light that you're shining is the thing that you're going to record on video, put on your YouTube channel, doing a Facebook Live. What you're now doing is taking the focus away from you and thinking about the audience. Now, if you are still feeling slightly scared, you're thinking, oh my gosh, people are looking at me, and you're internalizing it again. It's like you're flipping the torch back to yourself. So imagine next time that you're holding this torch and that you very slowly turn it and shine it to your audience, because it's not about you, it's about them. It's about the difference that you can make to that audience. And even if you have 5,000 people sitting in that audience, there is one person that is sat there. If they don't hear what you've got to say, if they don't hear what you've got to share, you don't know what they might do next. You don't know where they might go to next. If you're the person with the expertise and you focus on your own fear and make it all about you and not about them, that person in the audience that really needed to hear what you had to say will be inspired by what you shared, and then they'll go off and seek the help from someone who isn't as expert as you. You are paving the way for them to go and get help, but not the best help or advice or training or teaching that they need. And the reason why you're the expert in that area and the best person to do that is because for many of you, you've lived the experience, you've gone through the experience, you've set up your business because you're passionate about releasing people from the experience. So next time you're feeling nervous, just remember that all you're doing is shining the torchlight to yourself. Find a way to stop and pause and then turn it around. Shine your light out into the world so that people can see you. And even if it's one person at a time, give yourself full permission to do it. So that's my little analogy for getting through those fearful situations. What do you reckon?
Brilliant. I like it. It's so basically, instead of keeping the focus on yourself, you have to put it out there and maintain your focus on other people. It's very close to one of the examples I usually bring to people, which is I really enjoy it because I think it's really a great point. It's if you're walking down the street and you get attacked,
yeah,
you'll probably get scared and give everything. You will never fight back. You'll be just terrified. But if you're walking down the street with your kid and you get attacked, you're gonna rip their throats out because you have your baby to take care of. You're not focused on your fear anymore. You're focused on your kid, right? So it's kind of like, it's very similar analogy, I think, because that's like shifting your focus on, protecting someone else or giving to somebody else, doing for somebody else rather than focusing on your own fear.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I know in the personal development field, people talk about, put your oxygen mask on first before someone else's. The problem that I have with that is, it's very true, number one, but the problem that I have with that is that we are so used to being caregivers in our business. I work with lots of holistic therapists, with healers, with coaches, people that want to see the best in other people. And when you say put your oxygen mask on first, all they hear is selfish, selfish. Whereas when you say, you know what, it's not about you, it has nothing to do with you, it's about them, that's where your focus needs to be. It gives them a little stepping point in between. That oxygen mask is hanging down. It gives them permission to say, okay, let's do this. They put it on and then they go. It gives them a point to stand. And you're absolutely right. Anyone who's ever taken care of any children, whether it's their own or someone else's, there's a fierceness that happens. The minute someone tries to mess with them, you're like, not on my watch. You don't think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a fear of success of doing this because I'm going to fend them off successfully. You don't even go, oh my gosh, there's a fear of failure. It's like, there's an expression, isn't there? You see red. You just see red and you go for it. You don't think about it. You just go into this kind of fight mode, I guess it is, and protection mode. And it's such a shame that so many people will do that for others, but will not do it for themselves. Yeah. That really chokes me. And that's the thing that I'd love to be able to change in people.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your message today, Jenny. It's been incredible. Great chat as always. Thanks for making the time, and I really look forward to what brings the next episode.
Excellent. I'll see you all later. Bye for now.